The stallion screamed before anyone saw him. The sound tore through the Montana morning, sharp, wild, untamed, echoing across the open plains like a warning. Dust lifted near the far paddock as the horse reared against the fence, black mane whipping, muscles rippling beneath a coat that caught the rising sun. Mae Callahan stood still, boots planted in the dirt, arms folded tight against her chest. "He's going to kill someone," one of the ranch hands muttered behind her. Mae didn't answer. She'd heard it all before. The Callahan Ranch had been in her family for 3 generations, stretching wide across rolling grasslands just outside Livingston, Montana. Horses were its lifeblood. And that stallion, Devil's Ridge, was supposed to save it. Instead, he was destroying it. Mae exhaled slowly. The bank had given her one last warning. If Devil's Ridge wasn't trained and ready for sale within 30 days, the ranch would be done. Land sold. Horses auctioned. History erased. "No one can handle him," the hand said again. "Not without getting hurt." Mae's jaw tightened. "Then we find someone who can." That someone arrived 3 hours later in a dust-covered pickup truck. Mae didn't recognize him at first, just another tall cowboy stepping out, hat low, shoulders broad, movements careful but confident. But the moment he lifted his head, the past slammed into her like a slammed barn door. Caleb Turner. Her breath caught. He looked older. Harder. A faint scar cut along his jaw, and his eyes, those familiar steel blue eyes, carried something darker now. Pain, maybe. Or distance. He hadn't changed nearly as much as the feeling in her chest had. "I heard you needed a horse trainer," he said. His voice was deeper than she remembered. Mae swallowed. "I didn't know it was you." Caleb nodded once. "Didn't expect you'd be glad." She wasn't sure how to answer that. 10 years ago, Caleb Turner had left Montana with a promise and a kiss beneath a fading barn light. 10 years ago, he'd sworn he'd come back. He never did. Until now. Mae forced her voice steady. "You worked rodeos. Trained horses all over the West." "Still do," he said. "When my body lets me." She noticed the slight stiffness in his stance then. The way he favored one leg. "You're injured," she said. "Was," he corrected. "Rodeo ended me early." Silence stretched between them, heavy with words neither was ready to say. From the paddock, Devil's Ridge slammed against the fence again, snorting, eyes wild. Caleb turned toward the sound. His gaze sharpened. "That him?" "Yes." "Mind if I take a look?" Mae hesitated. This was dangerous, for the ranch, for the horse, and for her heart. But she nodded. Caleb approached the paddock slowly, speaking low, steady words meant only for the animal. Devil's Ridge charged the fence, teeth bared, hooves striking hard enough to rattle wood. The ranch hands backed away. Mae held her breath. Caleb didn't flinch. "Easy," he murmured. "I'm not here to fight you." The stallion tossed his head, breathing hard, but something shifted. Just slightly. Caleb studied him. "He's scared." "Not mean." Mae blinked. "Everyone says he's dangerous." "So did they about me," Caleb said quietly. He stepped back, turning to Mae. "I can train him." Her heart pounded. "You're sure?" "No," he admitted. "But I'll try." She searched his face, seeing the boy she once loved and the man he'd become layered together like weathered wood. "And if you fail?" she asked. Caleb met her gaze. "Then you lose the ranch." The truth of it sat heavy between them. Mae extended her hand. 30 days. He took it. His grip was warm. Familiar. 30 days, he agreed. As he released her hand, Mae felt it, the same spark she'd buried for a decade, flickering back to life. The stallion snorted behind them. The past had returned. And it was about to test every promise left unspoken. The first rule Caleb Turner set was simple. No one goes near the stallion but me. Mae didn't argue, though every instinct told her to. The ranch was hers, every fence post, every barn beam, but she could see it in Caleb's eyes. Devil's Ridge wasn't just another job to him. The horse was a mirror. Early morning fog clung low to the fields as Caleb stepped into the training pen, rope coiled at his side. Mae watched from the fence line, arms folded tight against the chill. The smell of hay and leather hung heavy in the air. "You don't have to stay," Caleb said without turning around. "I know," Mae replied. "But I am." He nodded once, accepting it. Devil's Ridge circled the pen, muscles tense, eyes tracking every movement. Caleb didn't rush him. He leaned against the rail, breathing slow, letting the stallion decide the pace. Minutes stretched into silence. Mae remembered mornings like this from years ago, Caleb working horses at her father's side, laughter easy back then. Before dreams grew bigger than Montana. "You always were stubborn," she said softly. Caleb's mouth twitched. "Takes one to know one." The stallion snorted, stamping the dirt. Caleb stepped forward, calm but deliberate. Devil's Ridge lunged, stopping inches short, breath hot and wild. Mae's heart leapt into her throat. Caleb didn't move. "That horse is testing you," Mae said. "He's asking if I'll run," Caleb answered. "I won't." He spoke low, steady, like a promise meant to be kept. The stallion hesitated, then backed away. Mae exhaled. "You still do that thing," she said. "Talking like the horse understands every word." "They do," Caleb said. "More than people think." She didn't miss the second meaning. By late afternoon, dust coated everything. Devil's Ridge was calmer, sweat darkening his coat, though the fire in his eyes remained. Caleb wiped his brow. "He'll come around." Mae nodded. "I hope you're right." They walked toward the barn together, the space between them filled with unspoken history. Inside, the barn felt smaller than she remembered, shadows stretching long across the wooden floor. "You're staying in the bunkhouse," Mae said. "It's clean. Appreciate it." Silence crept in again, heavier this time. "Why didn't you come back?" she asked suddenly. Caleb stopped. The question hung there, sharp and unavoidable. "I was young," he said slowly. "Chasing rodeos. Chasing winds. Thought I had time." "And the letters?" Mae pressed. "The calls?" He turned to face her. Pain flickered across his face. "I wrote." Mae's voice broke despite her effort. "I never got them." That stopped him cold. "What?" "My dad checked the mail every day," she said. "There was nothing. Then years passed, and I figured, you forgot." Caleb ran a hand through his hair, frustration tightening his jaw. "I didn't forget you. Not for a day." The truth in his voice made her chest ache. "I blew out my knee in Cheyenne," he continued. "Couldn't ride. Couldn't train for a while. Pride kept me away." Mae swallowed hard. "Pride cost us both." Caleb nodded. "I know." The barn creaked around them, holding their secrets. That night, Mae lay awake in the ranch house, staring at the ceiling. Every sound carried memory, boots on wooden steps, laughter from summers long gone. Caleb lay awake too. The bunkhouse felt foreign, cold despite the blankets. His knee throbbed, but it was nothing compared to the weight in his chest. Mae was here. Always had been. And he'd nearly lost her forever. The next morning came with trouble. Devil's Ridge broke through a side fence before dawn, tearing across the open field toward the road. Caleb was up in seconds, boots half-laced, adrenaline surging. Mae ran out after him, heart pounding. "Caleb," she shouted. He mounted a nearby horse without hesitation, pain screaming in his leg as he pushed it aside. "I've got him." Dust flew as Caleb chased the stallion, closing the distance inch by inch. The horse veered suddenly, nearly colliding with a truck on the road before Caleb cut him off, guiding him back with steady pressure. Minutes later, Devil's Ridge stood trembling, finally still. Caleb slid off his horse, knee buckling as he hit the ground. Mae ran to him, dropping beside him in the dirt. "You're hurt." "I'm fine," he lied. She grabbed his arm. "You're not." Their eyes locked, fear, relief, something deeper swirling between them. The stallion breathed calmly behind them. And for the first time, Mae realized the danger wasn't just losing the ranch. It was losing Caleb all over again. The letter arrived folded twice and stamped with finality. Mae found it on the kitchen table that morning, tucked beneath the coffee pot like it had always been there. The bank's logo glared up at her, sharp and unforgiving. Notice of foreclosure. Her hands trembled as she read it. 30 days had become 10. 10 days to prove the ranch was profitable, or lose everything. She pressed her palm flat against the table, steadying herself as the walls seemed to close in. Outside, the wind rattled the windows, carrying the smell of rain and earth. Caleb entered quietly, sensing the shift before she spoke. "What is it?" Mae slid the letter across the table without a word. He read it once. Then again. "They moved the deadline," he said, anger tight in his voice. "They don't care," Mae replied. "They never did." Caleb clenched his jaw. "There might be another way." She looked up sharply. "What way?" He hesitated. And in that hesitation, Mae felt it, the same distance that had once grown between them years ago. "Caleb," she said. "What aren't you telling me?" He exhaled slowly. "I've got an offer. From a breeder in Texas. Devil's Ridge, once trained, could sell for enough to cover the debt." Mae's stomach dropped. "Sell him? It's what the bank wants. Proof of profit." "You said this was about saving the ranch," she said, voice shaking. "Not selling off its future." Caleb stepped closer. "Mae, this keeps you here. It keeps everything you've built." "At what cost?" she asked. Before he could answer, a truck pulled into the yard. A sleek, black SUV, out of place among the dust and worn fences. A man stepped out, suit crisp, smile sharp. "That'll be the bank," Mae muttered. The meeting was short and brutal. The banker spoke of numbers and deadlines, barely glancing at the horses grazing beyond the window. "You have 10 days, he said. "If the stallion sells, we'll reconsider." "And if he doesn't?" Mae asked. The man smiled thinly. "Then the land goes." After he left, silence filled the ranch house. Caleb ran a hand over his face. "We can do this." Mae turned on him. "You already decided, didn't you?" "I'm trying to save you." "I don't need saving," she snapped. "I need honesty." The words landed heavy. That afternoon, Caleb pushed Devil's Ridge harder than before. The stallion responded with fierce focus, movements sharp and powerful. Mae watched from a distance, heart aching. He's training him to leave, she realized. The thought hurt more than she expected. As evening fell, Caleb dismounted, breathing hard. Devil's Ridge stood calm, obedient. "He's ready," Caleb said. Mae didn't answer. Later that night, Mae overheard voices near the barn. Caleb stood with a man on the phone, back turned. "Yes," Caleb said. "He'll be ready for transport." "Texas." Mae froze. Every fear she buried came rushing back. Caleb had plans. Plans that didn't include her. She turned away before he could see her. The next morning, Mae didn't show up for training. Caleb searched the ranch until he found her by the old fence line, staring out at the plains. "You should have told me," she said without looking at him. "I was going to." "When?" she demanded. "After he was gone." "After you were gone too." Caleb's voice cracked. "I'm doing this for you." "No," Mae said softly. "You're doing it because leaving is easier than staying." The truth cut deep. "I stayed," Caleb said. "I came back." "And now you're choosing to leave again," Mae replied. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Caleb reached for her. She stepped back. "If you sell that horse," she said, "you sell more than land. You sell trust." She walked away, leaving him alone beneath the wide Montana sky. That night, Devil's Ridge broke free again. This time, Caleb didn't chase him. He stood in the dark, listening to the way pain slowed him down, realizing too late that some things couldn't be fixed with sacrifice alone. He sat on the edge of the bunkhouse bed as Mae wrapped his knee, never healed the same way twice, but firm. Morning light slipped through the small window, catching dust motes in the air. "You should have told me how bad it was," she said. "I didn't want you worrying." She tied off the bandage with a sharp tug. "You don't get to decide that." Caleb looked up at her then, really looked. The years hadn't softened her, not in the ways that mattered. Strength clung to her like the smell of hay and leather. She'd grown into the kind of woman who held her ground, even when the earth beneath her shifted. "You always were bossy," he said. She huffed softly. "You always were reckless." Their eyes held, the space between them tight with everything unsaid. Caleb cleared his throat. "I'll take it easy." "You won't," she replied. He smiled, knowing she was right. Outside, Devil's Ridge stood at the fence line, ears flicking toward the bunkhouse. The stallion no longer screamed or charged. He watched. "That horse is changing," Mae said, following Caleb's gaze. "So am I," Caleb said quietly. They spent the day working slower. Mae helped with grooming, her presence steadying both man and horse. Devil's Ridge tensed when she stepped close, but Caleb murmured soft reassurances. "Easy, boy. She's part of this." Mae brushed the stallion's neck, careful, patient. The horse snorted but didn't pull away. "Look at that," Mae whispered. "He trusts you." Caleb shook his head. "He's trusting both of us." The word settled warm and dangerous between them. That afternoon, clouds rolled in heavy and low. Thunder growled in the distance as Caleb adjusted tack, jaw tight. "You shouldn't ride today," Mae said. "Your knee." "I need to know where he stands," Caleb replied. Storms bring out the truth. The wind picked up, whipping Mae's hair loose from its tie. "You're not doing this alone," she said. He hesitated. "Mae. I said no one faces trouble alone on this ranch." Caleb nodded. They led Devil's Ridge into the open training ring as thunder cracked overhead. The stallion danced, eyes white at the edges, energy coiled tight. "Easy," Caleb murmured, mounting with a grimace. The storm broke hard and fast. Rain slammed down, soaking them in seconds. Devil's Ridge reared, panic flashing through him. Caleb tightened his grip, steadying his voice. Mae stood at the fence, heart pounding, refusing to look away. "Caleb," she called. "I've got him." But the stallion bolted. The world blurred into mud and rain. Caleb leaned into the movement, knee screaming as he guided the horse in a tight circle. A flash of lightning split the sky, and Devil's Ridge stumbled. Caleb hit the ground hard. Mae screamed his name. She was at his side in seconds, rain soaking her jacket, hands shaking as she checked him over. "Don't you ever do that again," she said, voice breaking. "Don't scare me like that." Caleb looked up at her, rain dripping from his lashes. "I had to know." "Know what?" "That he won't run when it matters." "And you?" Mae asked softly. "Do you run?" The question cut deeper than the fall. Caleb pushed himself up, ignoring the pain. "I did once." The storm faded as quickly as it had come, leaving the air sharp and clean. Devil's Ridge stood still now, head lowered, breathing slow. "He stayed," Mae whispered. Caleb nodded. "So did I." That night, the power flickered and died. Mae lit lanterns, the soft glow filling the ranch house with shadows. Caleb sat at the kitchen table, ice on his knee, as Mae poured coffee. "You can stay," she said quietly. "After the 30 days. Caleb looked up. "Are you asking me to?" "I don't know," she admitted. "I just know I don't want you leaving again." Silence stretched between them. Caleb reached across the table, his fingers brushing hers. The contact sent a shiver through both of them. "I won't make promises I can't keep," he said. Mae swallowed. "Just don't disappear." Their hands stayed there, connected, as the lantern flickered. Outside, Devil's Ridge let out a low, calm sound, a far cry from the scream that had once shaken the plains. But not all storms were done. And sometimes, trust broke just when it felt strongest. The pasture gate hung open, swinging slowly in the wind. Caleb stood there long after the sun crested the hills, staring at the broken latch like it might explain everything. Devil's Ridge was gone. No tracks leading cleanly away, just churned earth and panic. The stallion hadn't run blindly this time. He'd fled with purpose. Caleb knew what that meant. He didn't leave because he was afraid, Caleb muttered to himself. He left because he didn't belong in a cage. The words felt uncomfortably close to home. Mae hadn't come down to the barn that morning. The house windows were dark. For the first time since he'd returned, Caleb felt like a stranger on the ranch again. He saddled a horse, knee protesting, and rode out alone. The Montana plains stretched endless and quiet, grass bending under the wind. Caleb followed faint hoof marks toward the foothills, the kind only a trainer would notice. As the hours passed, his thoughts circled darker truths. He told himself selling Devil's Ridge was about saving the ranch. About helping Mae. But somewhere along the way, the deal had become an escape hatch, something solid to hide behind if staying got too hard. Just like before. A memory surfaced uninvited. Mae at 17, standing beneath the barn's single light, hands shaking as she asked him not to leave. "I'll be back," he'd said. "I promise." Promises were easy when the road was wide open. By late afternoon, Caleb found Devil's Ridge near a creek, head lowered, drinking calmly as if he'd never caused chaos at all. Caleb dismounted slowly. "I know," he said softly. "You don't trust cages." "Neither do I." The stallion lifted his head, ears flicking, eyes steady. No fear. No challenge. Just waiting. Caleb reached out, resting a hand on the horse's neck. Devil's Ridge didn't flinch. That was when Caleb knew. He couldn't sell him. And he couldn't leave Mae again, not behind plans and good intentions. He led the stallion home on foot, sunset bleeding red and gold across the sky. Mae was in the barn when he returned, brushing a mare with stiff, practice strokes. She didn't turn around. "I'm not selling him," Caleb said. Her hand stilled. "You already made that choice," she replied quietly. "I made the wrong one," he said. "But I'm fixing it." She faced him then, eyes guarded. "Fixing it how?" Caleb swallowed. "The Texas deal is off. I called the bank. Told them they can take their deadline and shove it." Mae stared at him. "You did what?" "I'll leave," he continued. "If that's what it takes. But I won't sell your future to run from my fear." Silence fell heavy between them. "You could have saved the ranch," Mae said. "We could have lost everything." Caleb stepped closer. "Or we could lose each other." Her breath hitched. "You think love pays bills?" she asked bitterly. "No," he said. "But it's the reason we fight to keep places like this alive." Devil's Ridge snorted softly behind him, calm as ever. Mae looked at the stallion. Then back at Caleb. "You don't get to be the hero now," she said. "Not after deciding without me." "You're right," Caleb replied. "I don't want to be the hero. I want to be your partner." That word cracked something open. Before Mae could respond, headlights swept across the barnyard. The banker's SUV pulled in again, uninvited, unwelcome. He stepped out, irritation plain on his face. "Mr. Turner. Miss Callahan. We need to talk." Mae squared her shoulders. "We're not selling." The man smiled thinly. "Then you're out of time." Caleb stepped forward. "Unless there's another option." The banker raised a brow. "The Callahan Ranch has never been marketed right," Caleb said. "Bloodlines, training, heritage, you undervalued it." Mae looked at him sharply. "There's an auction in Bozeman next week," Caleb continued. "Selective horses. Trained properly. Devil's Ridge included, shown, not sold." The banker hesitated. Mae caught on. "We prove value without losing ownership." Caleb nodded. "Give us 1 week." The man studied them both, then sighed. 1 week. That's it. As the SUV disappeared into the night, Mae let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "You're risking everything," she said. "So are you," Caleb replied. "But this time, I'm staying." Their eyes met in the barn's soft light. Not a kiss. Not yet. But something stronger, trust, fragile and growing. Outside, the wind shifted. And for the first time in weeks, the ranch felt like it was breathing again. The Bozeman auction dawned crisp and golden, the kind of light that made Montana look like it belonged on a postcard. Caleb and Mae stood side by side in the barnyard, Devil's Ridge calm between them, mane shining under the sun. "Ready?" Mae asked, her hand brushing the horse's neck. Caleb nodded. "As he'll ever be." She glanced at him, eyes soft but firm. "You ready?" "For this," he said. "And maybe for everything else too." The drive to the auction was quiet, tension thick but not unpleasant. Devil's Ridge rode in the trailer with the grace of a king, every muscle taut, every movement controlled. When they arrived, the auction grounds were buzzing with buyers, trainers, and spectators. Caleb led Devil's Ridge into the warm-up pen, giving him time to stretch and settle. Mae watched, heart racing as she remembered the chaos of the past weeks, the broken fences, the near escapes, the rainstorms, the fear and hope mingled like wind and dust. "Stay calm," Caleb murmured to the stallion. "We're not leaving here without honor." The auctioneer called the crowd to order. The first horses moved through the ring, sold for thousands, each a testament to careful training and lineage. But when Caleb and Mae walked Devil's Ridge in, heads turned. The stallion's strength and composure were undeniable. His black coat gleamed, his eyes were intelligent, aware. As he moved through the ring, the crowd whispered. Spectators leaned closer. Cameras clicked. Caleb's heart thumped, not from nerves, but from pride in something more dangerous, hope. Mae squeezed his hand lightly, grounding him. "He trusts you," she said. "We can do this." Caleb nodded. "We trust each other." The auctioneer lifted the gavel. "Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Devil's Ridge, an exceptional stallion from the Montana Plains, trained by Caleb Turner and under the supervision of Ms. Mae Callahan." Bid after bid came in, each one higher than the last. But Caleb didn't sell. He'd agreed only to show the stallion's value, not to part with him. Mae's eyes met his across the ring. No words were needed. Their plan was working. By midday, the auctioneer announced, "Sold to the Callahan Ranch." A murmur of approval rolled through the crowd. Caleb and Mae exchanged smiles, relief and triumph mingling like warm sunlight. They had proven the ranch's worth, their bond intact, and Devil's Ridge secure. Outside the auction hall, Caleb leaned against the trailer as Mae approached. "We did it," he said, voice low, almost reverent. "Yes," she replied. "But this isn't just about the ranch, is it?" He shook his head. "No. It's about us, too. About keeping promises." Mae studied him. "You're not going anywhere this time." Caleb reached for her hand, fingers brushing hers with gentle certainty. "Not unless you want me to. But I don't think you do." Her lips curved in a soft, real smile, the one he remembered from long ago, before distance and fear had stolen it. "I don't," she whispered. Later, back at the ranch, the sun dipped low behind the Montana hills. Devil's Ridge grazed peacefully in the paddock, the storms of the past weeks nothing but memory. Caleb leaned against the fence, Mae at his side. For the first time in years, the ranch felt whole. Not because the bank had relented, not because the auction was a success, but because love had stayed. Mae rested her head against his shoulder. "You kept your promise," she said. "I did," Caleb replied, letting himself feel it. "And so did you." They stood together, quiet, watching the golden plains stretch into infinity. The wind carried the scent of hay and earth, the soft neigh of Devil's Ridge, and the unspoken promise that whatever storms came, they would face them side by side. In the heart of Montana, where the horses ran free and the sunsets burned like fire across the horizon, Caleb and Mae finally understood something neither had said aloud in 10 years. Home wasn't a place. It was the people who stayed. The promises they kept. The hearts they trusted. And in that moment, with Devil's Ridge calm at their feet and the prairie around them stretching endlessly, they knew they were exactly where they were meant to be. Because some promises ride free, and some never need words to be kept.